Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Study with me. So in our previous class we completed up to Badami Chalukyas. In this class we'll know about Rashtrakuta dynasty who ruled between 753 and 975 AD. I've already told you in the previous class that in the Western Deccan region the rise of Rashtrakutas in the middle of 8th century eclipsed the Chalukyas of Badami before they were being revived by their descendants who are Western Chalukyas in the late of 10th century. So now let's know some more important points related to Rashtrakuta dynasty. I'm telling you from the beginning of my classes that for every dynasty we need to know 5 points which are very important, which are founder, capital city, languages, religion and also the last king. Founder of the Rashtrakuta dynasty is Danti Durga, who is also the first king of Rashtrakuta dynasty, and the capital city was Manyaketa. So before Manyaketa, the capital city was Bidar. And languages they used were Kannada, Sanskrit, and ancient Telugu. But Kannada was given more importance than Sanskrit and ancient Telugu. And religion they followed was Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. And the last king of the dynasty is Indra IV. And other than this, we need to know origin, sources, and kings who ruled the dynasty. So all these were very important about any dynasty. So now let's see about the origin of Rashtrakuta dynasty. The origin of Rashtrakuta dynasty explains their lineage from the time of Mauryan Emperor Ashoka, which is very important, and historians differ on the question of their origin. In the 3rd century BC, they were primarily the small clan heads in different parts of India. In some of the edicts of Ashoka, the word Radhika was mentioned. So by which we can say that they have been the ancestors of Rashtrakutas. Though many historians claim that the Rashtrakutas were the earlier Radhikas. This was mentioned in the inscriptions of Ashoka, but there were not enough evidences to prove this statement. But it is evident from few Chalukyan king inscriptions that they were vassals of Chalukyas, and also it is believed that Rashtrakutas were of Karnataka region and their mother tongue was Kannada. So this is the region that Rashtrakutas ruled. But during the peak of their rule, they ruled from the northern river of Kaveri and till the south of the river Ganga, from the western shoreline and also in the west to the eastern shoreline. But the heart of the kingdom remained the present day of Karnataka, Maharashtra and Telangana. So these are some sources which we have for Rashtrakuta dynasty, which are medieval inscriptions, ancient literature which is in Pali language, and also some contemporaneous literature which are in Sanskrit, Telugu and Kannada languages, and the notes of Arab travelers in the 10th century. So all these were the kings of Rashtrakuta dynasty. Don't worry guys, you don't need to read about all these kings. There were some kings who are very important. I will just know about them. And also one thing I want to tell you is that it is very important to know all the kings. At least you should be able to answer the questions, like they'll give you the names of the kings and ask you to find out they belong to which dynasty. So you should be able to answer question like that. For that you just have to know the names of the kings who belong to that dynasty, right? Now let me tell you how to remember all these kings' names. We all know that Danti Durga is a founder of Rashtrakuta dynasty and Indra IV is the last king of dynasty, right? And when it comes to Krishna I is the important king of the dynasty, and also Govinda III He is also an important king of Rashtrakuta dynasty, and Amogavarsha I is the greatest king of Rashtrakuta dynasty. So now see, Krishna I is the important king of dynasty. So you have Krishna II, Krishna III also. So it is easy for you to remember now. And see Govinda II, Govinda III we have already discussed, and Govinda IV. And the next up is Amogavarsha I. So he is the greatest king of dynasty. And the next we have Amogavarsha II. So whenever you see Amogavarsha 1 or 2 or 3, you will definitely remember that they belong to Rashtrakuta dynasty. And next Amogavarsha 3 and also Kottiga Amogavarsha. And we left with Dhruvadharavarsha and Indra 3. Indra 3 you can easily answer that. We already know that Indra 4 is the last king of the dynasty. And you need to remember only Dhruvadharavarsha. Now this is easy for you guys, right? So now let's know about all the important kings in detail. The king Dandidurga, who ruled between 735 and 756 AD. There is not much information to describe about him, but it is very important to know that he conquered Kalinga, Kosala, Manchi, Srishila, Malwa and also Lata, and occupied the state of Maharashtra by defeating Chalukyan king who is Kritivarman II. Do you guys remember that Kritivarman II is the last king of Badami Chalukya dynasty? At the end, Dantidurga had no sons, so his uncle Krishna I came into rule. So as we have discussed, Krishna I is the uncle of Dantidurga, and he ruled between 756 and 774 AD. He brought the major portions of present-day Karnataka and also Konkan under his control, and he occupied the other territories which were under the control of Chalukyas. And he defeated Vishnuvardhana, who belonged to Vengi, and Ganga king of Mysore. He was a great patron of art and architecture. And he also built Kailash temple at Ellora caves, which is very important, guys. Do remember this, and it is very important because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now let's know some more important points related to Kailash temple. So this is the image of Kailash temple, which is situated in Maharashtra, which is part of Ellora caves, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which we have already discussed. We'll know about this Kailash temple in detail in the part of art and architecture. And now let's know about the other king of Rashtrakuta dynasty. So Dhruvadharavarsha is the next important king of Rashtrakuta dynasty, who ruled between 780 and 793 AD. The king Dhruva defeated Gurjara Pratihara king of Vatsaraja. Now let's see the map pointing of this Gurjara Pratihara dynasty. So from this region the Gurjara Pratiharas were ruled. The king Dandidurga defeated those Gurjara Pratihara king Vatsaraja, and also the Pallavas of Manchi and the Pala king Dharmapala of Bengal. And the next important king of Rashtrakuta dynasty is Govinda III, who ruled between 793 and 814 AD. He is the son of Dhruvadharavarsha, and he defeated the great Gurjara king Nagabhattaya II, and he also defeated the Pala king Dharmapala. So in his period only the kingdom was spreaded up to Vindhyas and Malwa in the north and river Tungabhadra in the south. So this is all about Govinda III. The greatest king of Rashtrakuta dynasty is Amogavarsha I. He is very important, guys. He ruled between 814 and 878 AD. He is the greatest king of Rashtrakuta dynasty. and he is the son of Govinda III. In his period only the capital city was shifted from Bidar to Manyaketa, which is now called as Malkhed in Karnataka. He was a great patron of education and literature. There were less number of kings who gave importance to education and literature. So Amoghavasha I gave his contribution towards education and literature, which is very important, and he was converted to Jainism by Jain monk whose name is Jinasena. The king Amoghavasha I suppressed revolts from his feudatories and also from ministers, and he made peace agreements with Western Ganga dynasty by giving his two daughters in marriage to Western Gangas and defeated invading of Eastern Chalukyas. And he also got the title which is Veeranarayana. There are two important writings of Amoghavasha I which are very important, guys. You have to remember these names. First one is Kaviraja Marga and Prashnottara Ratnamalika. This Kaviraja Marga was written in Kannada language and which is considered as most important landmark in Kannada poetics. And Prashnottara Ratnamalika, which is in Sanskrit language. It's a writing of high merit and was later translated into Tibetan language also. The king Amoghavasha I is a peace-loving nature and he is also called as Ashoka of South. Very important to remember this. And in his period only the empire from south went all the way to Kanyakubja, which is called as Kannauju. I think this was the first time and probably the only time where an empire from south went all the way till Kanyakubja. And tripartite struggle. So I would have tell you about this tripartite struggle during Dhruva. So this has happened in the period of Dhruva. So it is a period of struggle for the control of resources and area of Gangetic place, which is around Kannauju, which is in UP. So this has happened among the three parties who are the Rashtrakutas of South and Palas of East and Pratiharas of West India. So this was happened between 8th and 10th century AD. And this struggle seems to have started with the Pratihala ruler first, whose name is Vatsaraja, who wanted to take the control of the city Kannauj and its vendors, as did the Pala ruler Dharmapala. This brought the two rulers into conflict, and during the time of the Rashtrakuta king, Dhruva attacked both the combatants and he was won in that struggle. And the next king of the dynasty is Indra III. There is only one point which we need to remember about him, that he defeated the Pala king Mahipala. So they were the rulers of eastern India. And the next important king of Rashtrakuta dynasty is Krishna III. He was the last powerful and efficient king of Rashtrakuta dynasty, and he succeeded in conquering Tanjore and also Kanchi. And he succeeded Tamil kings of Chola kingdom also. Karka, who ruled between 972 and 973, there is an important point to remember in his period, that he was defeated by Talipa, who was the king of Kalyani. So in his period only the Rashtrakuta dynasty was eclipsed by Chalukyas of Kalyani. So this is the end of Rashtrakuta dynasty. When it comes to the administration, they divided the administration into three divisions, which are Rashtras, Vishayas and Bhukti. Rashtra means the provinces or the state, who was controlled by Rashtrapati. And Vishayas are similar to districts. These Vishayas were controlled by or governed by Vishyapati. And Bhukti means the villages. There were around 50 to 70 villages were there in Rashtrakuta dynasty, and these villages were controlled by Bhogapatis. So now let's see about the art and architecture of Rashtrakuta dynasty. I've already told you that Ellora is the best example for art and architecture of Rashtrakuta dynasty, and also Elephanta caves. These two are very important. So these two are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So the Kailash temple, which was built by Krishna I, is part of Ellora caves, and it's the largest rock cut temple which is made of megalithic stones, and it's the largest temple of Buddhist, Jain and Hindu temples. And the god was Kailashanatha. There was a sculpture of goddess Durga which is engraved as slaying the buffalo demon. There is also a pillared hall which is made up of 16 squared pillars in the interior, and this temple was built by Shikara style, which resembles the Mamallapuram Radhas. And also there is a sculpture of Ravana which was making attempts to lift the Mount Kailasa, the abode of Shiva. And next, Elephanta caves. This is originally called as Tripuri, which is situated in Maharashtra, the island near Bombay, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There is a huge figure of Dwara, the Palakas at the entrance of Sanctum, and Trimurti sculpture, which is a magnificent feature of the temple, which is situated on the 6 meters high of 25 feet height, which represents the Lord Shiva as creator, preserver and also destroyer. And there were Nataraja and Sadashiva sculptures also present, which excel in the beauty and craftsmanship of Ellora caves. So this is all about art and architecture. And when it comes to the trade, the active commerce witnessed between Deccan and Arabs, and also they stimulated the Arab trade by maintaining a friendship with them. So, and when it comes to religion, I've already told you that they followed Jainism, Buddhism and also Hinduism. And when it comes to society, chronicles mention more castes than the 4 commonly known castes in the Hindu social system, some as many as 7 castes. One traveler's account mentions 16 castes, including the 4 basic castes of Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. One second. So the caste like Jakaya, which is also called as Lahud caste. So these consisted of communities specializing in dance and acrobatic, and the other people in the professions of sailing, hunting, weaving, cobblery, basket making and fishing belong to specific caste or subcaste. And also there is another caste were Antyajas. So these were provided many menial services to the wealthy. Like Brahmins enjoyed the highest state in Rashtrakuta society, and only those Kshatriyas in the Sat Kshatriya, which is a subcaste or noble Kshatriyas, they were given higher importance or higher status in Rashtrakuta period. So this is all about our today's class. With this we completed Rashtrakuta dynasty, and in the next class we'll know about Vemlavada Chalukyas in detail. And thanks for listening this class. If you like this video, please share it with someone who needs these classes. And also don't forget to subscribe my channel Study With Me.